Just to always show that it wouldn't be a mistake.
In the beginning, it was a full body prosthesis that I would lay into, and then there were puppeteers, three of them, three special effects guys, who had the unfortunate task of being right behind my butthole for 3 hours at a time while we were doing this. And then later on, it became a visual effect. But I remember doing the pilot, I would walk around with this, and the puppeteer would walk behind me, and I would forget that I had it on. And so I'd be talking to someone, and then they would make the symbiote like this, and stab me in the chest, which freaked me out every time. I just forget that I had it on. So I was the happiest guy in the world when they decided, hey, we're just going to CGI it. So, yeah. Thank you. Right. Yeah. Okay. Oh, there's no questions? Puppetry of the Penis was on Channel 1 last night. I was just about to go behind this screen.
My question is about all the different directors you had on Stargate.
Hated them.
And did you find that a little bit hard to cope with having someone different each week, or was there some you really liked and some you were glad you only had to put up with them every once in a while?
Well, the great thing was, like the first 2 years, we kind of found who our director would be, and we had a lot of different directors the first couple of years. But then after that, we pretty much used the same directors over and over, and truly used them over and over because they were great, and we just all got along so well. Our directors were top notch, and so we were very, very fortunate in that respect. And so, but we did have, some that didn't last. I won't mention any names. But this is, a lot of this is due to Rick and Michael Greenberg, who, Michael Greenberg was our on-set executive producer. So he really set the tone for everyone's kind of behavior, which we were given a great deal of leeway in our on-set conduct. But the one thing that was demanded was that you treat everyone with respect, and that the environment was very supportive. And if you as a director came in and you were a screamer and yeller, that would be the only episode of the director. So, and that's pretty much all due to Rick and Michael. So we're very fortunate in that respect.
Hi, Chris.
Oh.
You fought for a long time.
Don't put out.
You fought for a long time to have hair.
Yes.
You got me at the moment.
Yeah. The reason I don't is because I don't know if you guys heard, for like the last 2 months we were in a heat wave in LA. And so for 2 months, it was never cooler than 100 degrees. And so even at night, it would rarely dip below 80 degrees. So it just got too hot to have hair, and it was, because one of my sons is growing his hair out. So I said, oh, okay, I'll regrow mine out. And his hair is now that long. Anyway, so it was just a matter of, I just couldn't take the heat and have hair. So.
And the other thing is, Amanda always tells stories about you when she's here.
She's a liar.
She even called you from one event I was at live. Called you. Can you tell us any good dirt on Amanda?
Did you say could I or will I? I could tell you a lot of stuff. I think of all of us, probably Amanda has the least amount of dirt on her. Like, she really is that girl. I mean, she's just a sweet, lovely girl. my goal was to get her to fart for 10 years. She just wouldn't do it. I mean, I'm sure she did at some point, but just not on set. Which I'm sure a lot of crew members wish that they could say that about me. No, she really is like that sweet and that kind. So yeah, there's not a whole lot of dirt on her. You know, I can tell you about the early days when she used to go to strip joints with us, and drink with us, and carouse with us, and all that stuff. But I mean, what would be the point? Thank you. Yeah.
What was it like working with Corin Nemec?
Living with him?
Working with him.
Oh, working with him. Wow, I know I drink a lot, but I forgot. Corky. That's what I call, much to his chagrin. You know, he was in a tough position. He was replacing, you know, obviously, you know, a character that was very much loved. And when he first came, there was no one harder on him than I was. But the dude is just such a lovable dude that we really got to like each other. And he's just like so mellow and like so zen all the time, you know. I think as high as a kite most of the time, but no, it was great. I mean, he has great work ethic. But it's weird. Like everyone's process is different, so it was weird adjusting to, because he liked to discover things while you're filming, which a lot of actors do. You know, every take for them is different. Well, it's very hard to do that in television because, you know, first of all, you only have a couple takes at it, you only have a couple kicks at it. And then you have to kind of do the same performance every take so they can cut it all together. Corin used to have this thing where, I don't know if you guys know, but he liked to eat and drink. Every scene he would always be eating like bananas and drinking coffee. But he would never do it at the same time during his lines. So it was very tough to edit together things because, you know, if he said, you know, we should go to P3X 798, first take you go, I think we should go to P3X 798. Come on. Second take, I think we should go to P3X 798. Well, how are you going to cut that together? Because it'll look like this. I think we should go to P3X 798. So it was, we had the most ridiculous bans on stuff that you could ever imagine. I'll get to the rest of them later. But Corin was banned from eating or drinking on set. Which is true. But I dig that kid. I dig him. And he, you know, for what he was asked to come in and do, which was unwinnable, I think he did a heck of a job. I really did. Yes?
Hi, Chris.
Hola!
It seemed like the entire show was run
Quit
by...
talking! Sorry, go ahead.
You've got a big number. It seemed like the entire show was run by the DeLuise family. What was it like working with them, and did you ever get to meet Dom?
Yes, Dom did an episode Ergo, and for some reason, it was Dom's sole mission to make me laugh. So I think the only actual time that he would mock me every time I talked, but in a great way. He was funny and hilarious. And we shot on film at that time, so I think a film school is 1,000 feet or something. And so with Dom, the script was kind of like the expiration date on milk. It was just kind of a suggestion. Then most of the time he chose to ignore. So Dom would improvise all this stuff, but he would always end every line and look at me and go. And then if I would talk, he to cover like mock me. And so why I'm in the episode so little is because I couldn't keep a straight face. And it was just one of the most touching things ever was Dom's first day. And Peter was directing, and it was the first time that Peter had directed his dad. And you can see how emotional Pete was. And so it was time to say action, so we kind of just kept, and finally Peter choked out, "Anytime, Pop." Oh, we just all fell apart. It was just such a lovely moment between father and son. And, but they are such a loving, ridiculous family. I don't know what their Thanksgiving dinners would look like, because they're all funny, they're all very quick-witted, and I mean, and it all came from Dom, and he was just like a lovely man.
Hey Chris,
Hola.
I just want to know what your favorite.
Oi!
Just want to know what your favorite of the long list of one-liners is.
One that never made it was, "That's not my symbiote on you." Why do you have to say that? What is an Oprah? Undomesticated equines cannot drag me away. You are not Johnny. That is not my symbiote. The greatest scene in Stargate history would have been in Window of Opportunity. Rick was like a kid on crack. He would keep coming to my trailer and go, "Hey, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you juggle? Can you do this? Can you do this?" So what made it into the episode was only part of stuff that Rick and I wanted to do. So, you know, there's the scene with him doing the pottery. Well, that was actually, me and Rick wanted to do the scene from Ghost. And it would start with him showing me pottery, me not understanding, and then the next scene I start to make my own deal. And then it progresses from there, but each progression, we have less and less clothes on, and for some reason, MGM wouldn't go for it. That was very short-sighted of them. But yeah, that was, I have no idea what your question was. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good, okay. How did I get on being naked with Rick? Covered in clay. Yes. You don't have a mic, sorry. Yell it out, minute. The question was, what did I like most about my character? I loved him because he had no gray area. You know, things in his eyes were either right or wrong. And it was interesting to play always having a definitive opinion on matters. And very rarely, if ever, could he be swayed. And I loved that about him because his vision of this new world that he was in was so clearly defined in how you should treat people, what you should do in certain situations. But also about honoring and respecting other people. I think there was, that for me was like, such like a, without hitting people in the head with it, was like this guy came from this other world and all he is about is being respected and respecting others. And how simple is that? That's just so simple. And that's what I loved about it. And then in episode 200, I finally got to wear a codpiece. If you guys have seen the 200th episode. If you go back and watch it, you will notice that in every single one of the vignettes, Teal'C has a ridiculous codpiece. Because we had all these great bad guys, and they all got to wear codpieces. So I was on our wardrobe designer for 10 years to wear a codpiece. I don't know why. So she finally, the 200th episode, every single vignette, Teal'C has on a ridiculously sized codpiece. And let me tell you, his cup runneth over.
Hello,
I'm
Chris.
sure that, wait, I'm just, hold on. Okay. Yes.
Hi. I'm over here. Hello.
Okay, I'm looking at a room and you go, I'm over here. Oh, hi.
Hola.
Oh.
Aside from the ghost scene, what is your best episode that you liked?
To be in or to watch?
Be in, watch, same thing.
Let me get this straight. Being in an episode is the same as watching an episode. My favorite episode to be in was the 200. I mean, it was just such a week of sheer joy and ridiculousness. That was my favorite episode to do. My favorite episode to watch was Heroes. I think Heroes really just got it right. It was funny. There was lots of action, touching. I mean, Fraser dies in it. What? Season 8 hasn't aired yet? No. Huh? It has, right? I got worried there for a second. Yes, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is Robin. I've been waiting a year to say that. But no, Heroes is that's the one episode for me that had just everything that I thought was good about the show. Why were you laughing when I said Fraser died?
He was very blunt.
Oh.
You just sort of offhand about, yeah, Fraser died. There's this massive marketing thing about who's going to die, will it be on yellow? I knew it wasn't going to be on yellow. It's come on. And, you know, people are like, yeah, Fraser died.
So, when I said touching, you thought I meant something else? You dirty bird. Yes.
Hi, Chris. I was watching Stargate a few months ago, episode, I noticed your name popped up with a couple of writing credits. Teal'C had some very good scenes, so I'm not sure why that happened. So how do you find writing?
I think of writing very much, I think it was J.K. Rowling that, because we've had the same level of success. She had a very on-the-nose comment, which is, I hate writing. I love being done. And there's such a sense of accomplishment when you get done, but the actual process of writing for me is so arduous. And so the way I write is I literally sit there and stare at my computer until the entire script, dialogue and all, pops in my head. And I frantically have to type it out before I forget. So everything that I've ever written, no matter what it is, it's taken me like 4 days. Because I will just sit there and not get up until I'm done. And it's just a really arduous process, but the feeling of accomplishment and the check is very rewarding. Yes, much like J.K. Rowling's checks. I wonder how big her check would have to be to get all those zeros on it. I digress. Yes?
Mine's actually an elaboration on that one. Can you tell us about specifically the episode The Changeling and writing that one?
Yeah, it came about, I think it's no secret, my love of Scotch. So I think that was, what, season 5. I wasn't being creatively challenged anymore because there started to be kind of less and less Jaffa episodes. So I pitched a story called The Warrior, and so that was bought and made. So I went to Brad and I said, no, I'd really like to, I gave this pitch for The Changeling, and we bought it. I said, I'd really like to try to write an episode. And he said, okay, great. And I said, but, okay, so the normal way that we write episodes, that Stargate episodes were written, was that someone would have a pitch, an idea, it would be accepted, and then the writers would sit in the writer's room and spitball ideas so that they would break it down into acts, then into scenes, and then beats. So basically all that was, not big, I'm oversimplifying, but, so basically what then the writer was credited for, it was really, it was really a communal process. And so the writer would get credit with basically filling dialogue. I was just really interested in finding out if I could actually write. So Brad actually let me go off on my own writing. And so I turned it in, and then we went on a 2-week summer hiatus. And so for 2 weeks I gave one copy to Brad and one copy to Martin Wood, who was going to be directing. 2 weeks I didn't hear a word, so I'm thinking, you know, what everyone thinking, I'm terrible and horrible. I should have never tried to do this. Why is my Scotch glass empty? And then on the Sunday before we go back, I got a call from Martin and from Brad saying how wonderful they thought the episode was. So it kind of all paid off. But it was, the genesis of it was, it really came from just 2 very simple things. I wanted Shanks to be back on the show, and I wanted to ride a fire truck, which is kind of true. That was kind of the start of the episode, and I wanted to slide down coal. I mean, I wanted to go down a fireman's pole. To get from the top floor of the firehouse to the bottom floor of the firehouse by way of a pole. There's just no good way to say that, is there? So yeah, that was truly where I started with that episode. Yeah.
Hi Chris, how you going?
Oh, hey.
You've done a lot of voiceover work in the last few years, and I'm just wondering, how did the role of Magneto come about in X-Men Evolution?
It came about because they were moving the production, I believe, from LA to Vancouver. So they were trying to find a voice match for the previous Magneto. And I just got a call, and I was on set. And he said, look, you've been requested to put in a voice track to do a voice match for this character on X-Men. I said, I'm at work, like, I can't get any parts of it. They said, it's Magneto. I said, oh, okay. So I actually went to our sound guy and just kind of recorded what I thought was a Patrick Stewart impersonation and sent it to him. And somehow I got it. So that's kind of how it came about, just trying to do a voice match. One of the greatest, so Rick knows that I have a man crush on Patrick Stewart's voice. Well, that's something bad. So Rick comes up to me one day and says, Chris, you gotta hear this, you gotta hear this. And so I'm thinking it's gonna be, because we had this long running thing about, the fart game we used to play, that's all it is. So I thought he had recorded like himself farting or something. That's what I thought it would be. So he puts the phone to my ear, and it's, hello, Richard, it's Patrick Stewart. And I just wet myself. Yes. No, she doesn't run this, I do. Ask the question. Ask the question. Ask the question. Wow. It's almost like I'm at home.
Thank you for coming.
Oh.
Obviously, it's gone a long way in Stargate. What do you think of Stargate universe? Do you watch them? Catch up through the rest of it?
Well, obviously Atlantis, I was much more familiar with because we were there at the same time, and both casts were very friendly. And Stargate Universe, I never really saw that much of it. I think I saw maybe some of the pilot. What do you guys think of it? Feel free just to yell out whatever you want. It was, I understand where it came from, like wanting to do something a little different than SG1 and Atlantis, but for me, it just wasn't the same kind of Stargate world that we were in. So I think if it didn't have the Stargate name on it, it might have been a good, or it might have had more fan acceptance, but when you put Stargate on something, then there's a general expectation of what it's going to be. And it's not a dark, brooding thing with Stargate, right? So, like I said, I understand why they did it and what they were trying to do, but I think they just kind of misjudged what the franchise tag Stargate means to all the fans that made it a franchise. So, but God bless them for trying. True.
Hi. Just wondering, what was it like working with Jason Momoa in Stargate Atlantis?
He's so ugly. Skinny. No, Momo's like my little brother, and I got to the point where I didn't really like to rehearse fight scenes that much, if at all, because it's like dancing, and so once you know the basic footwork to a dance. You can pretty much do any kind of dance that's close to it. So, so Bam Bam was choreographing this fight. So he brings me a DVD to watch of what the fight's gonna be. So it's like 7 minutes of this stuff that I'd never done before. So before he put it on, he's like, I said, Bam Bam, you know, I don't want to rehearse a lot. Like, just leave the tape here, I'll watch it, I'll figure out the footwork. He's like, Chris, maybe you should watch this. So after I watched it, here was my reaction. When should we start rehearsing, Bam Bam? So we actually worked on it for 2 weeks, which is probably the longest I ever worked on any fight scene. And Momoa, there's not enough good stuff I can say about that kid. He has such a great energy, and he is one of the biggest, most athletic people that I've ever met in any sport in my life. And just the energy that he brings to everything is just unbelievable. And I so love that kid. I'm so proud of him for all his successes. And the fact that he is still the exact same kid as when we all first met him is so admirable. He's not changed, not one bit. But he's gotten uglier. Is he not the best looking man on earth? My daughters would come to set and just, you know, you introduce them around and then introduce them to Jason, they just literally just went. Come on, honey. Come on. Hate him. Yes. What's that? What's today's date? Oh, it's today. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. She just said happy birthday. Today's my birthday.
That doesn't mean we're taking you out for dinner tonight.
Oh, you're gonna pay. What's that? Wait, what is it? Wait. Is there something that you wanted to ask me?
Not ask you, no. I actually like Jodie to come up here, if that's possible. We met 2 years ago and we bonded a lot over our common interest, especially our love of Stargate and other things. Would you marry me?
I thought we were gonna have to avert eyes there for a second. There's this kissing thing going. Congratulations. Birthdays and weddings.
Hi, Chris.
Hi. Oh, hey.
Seriously, how can you miss me? I'm dressed as a cowgirl. I just wanted to know that I'm a massive sci-fi fan. And sometimes you watch things and you go, that's just the most beautiful storyline ever. Were there any storylines in Stargate that You did, but you were thinking the whole time, this is really dumb. Why am I wrapped in a cocoon like?
One of the things that we had to stop doing was doing the parallel universe stuff, because Rick and I were forever lost. We never knew which universe we were in. So when you would see, like, basically the whole episode, Rick and I were going, which universe are we in? or you know, when there's, you know, I forgot what episode it was, but we kept coming through the gate from different universes. We were all dressed differently and stuff like that. I mean, those were always just tough for me to do, just because I couldn't ever keep them straight. And for Rick just hated it. And so that's why we kind of stopped doing them. But premise-wise, I'm not sure that any premise in sci-fi is ridiculous. Because that's the great thing about sci-fi, is that any premise is only limited by the limits of our own imagination. So I never really looked at any script, not just Stargate's, and just thought, this is silly. I mean, well, yeah, some like cop shows and stuff, yeah, I'm like, yeah, come on, this is dumb. But sci-fi, I give a really wide berth to that, because if it's executed, I mean, I'm not sure Inception looked that great on people. We're gonna go implant memories, and so, or go implant dreams, or go implant ideas in someone's subconscious. I'm not sure how great that might have looked as just an idea, but the execution of it was so fantastic that, so, and I truly think that about sci-fi as a genre. I don't think that there's any idea really that's ridiculous as long as it's executed well, you know? I mean, The Matrix, you know, there's these dudes who can, you know, everything you've ever been told is a lie. We're batteries for these computers. Humans actually live in virtual worlds. There's no real. I'm not sure how that looked on paper, but the execution of it was so fantastic that, you know. And so yeah, I really don't ever look at a sci-fi script and say this is ridiculous. I mean, I do it other genres, but really not a sci-fi. Yes.
What do you like about Jack O'Neill?
Absolutely nothing. Well, Rick is just such a zany guy anyway. He's the oldest kid in the world. He has such a peculiar, skewed, wonderful take on life. That it just makes him so watchable, and so, but he's such a smart guy. He had, one of the great things that he said about him playing Jack O'Neill was that I knew I couldn't play it the way Kurt Russell played it, because in a movie, that kind of character is sustainable because it's a movie, but to have watched someone who's that angry and that bitter over the course of years, it just wouldn't have worked. So Rick's take on it, to play O'Neill kind of bumbling and kind of as dim-witted. I mean, you know, some of the stuff O'Neill is pretty stupid. But the fact that you know that he's smart and has heart and it is, there's always something going on underneath it, was just brilliant. But that's a testament to who Rick is. He's just a really brilliant guy, and one of the funniest, smartest guys I've ever met. So I mean, that's what I like about O'Neill. I mean, I liked the fact that he was the leader. I liked the fact that he didn't know everything. I liked the fact that he was wrong. I liked the fact that he was silly and funny. I really enjoyed the relationship between Teal'C and O'Neill. And it was very much an extension of our own personal relationship. So yeah, I liked everything. No, I'm just pointing out there going, I'm not even looking at you.
given the action scenes were quite intense, what was the most interesting place you got a bruise or an injury?
I think probably most of the injuries probably came from like when we be in close proximity and people's brass would land on you and you get burned and stuff. I think most of my injuries were pretty much burns. Starting with the tattoo I had, we first used stuff called Prozac, and so it would actually burn the tattoo in my head. Actually, it really, when I take off the tattoo, there was still a burn mark that stayed there for a year until we changed, which I thought was ridiculous. And then the show started airing, and I'd be out at the club with this burn mark. Yes, I am Teal'C. I had a big burn when I happened it from, I think we were doing a staff blast or something. Some of the AV smoke actually got on my skin, and so I had left a big burn for a while. So most of my stuff, my worst injury was me screwing around. So they used to have set bikes. That's not a girl. The actual set bikes. I'm glad Apple didn't get that. So I'm screwing around, and I think Shooter was there with Walrus riding through their set, like disrupting their stuff. Atlantis was like riding through their studio, making all kinds of noise. I'm disrupting our set, and so I'm screwing around, and I'm looking back, and there's a speed bump there. So I'm like, hey! So both my feet come off the pedals, and I pulled both my hip flexors. So for a couple weeks, literally. And that's probably my worst injury the whole time that we did that show, which pretty much par for the course.
Do you miss being Teal'C?
Honey, I missed them checks. You know, I had a great time being Teal'C, but 10 years of being the same character, sometimes I miss him, but do I miss playing him? No, I'm ready to be somebody else. There's, so I can say this openly. We're in development with Rodenberry Entertainment for doing a new sci-fi show. And so there's these great characters, and I already know who I'm playing. I'm actually kind of the O'Neill in this show. But the character that I'm drawn to is this big, oversized alien. I can't do it again. But he's written like funny. He's like a big goofball. And, but he's sweet and touching and lovely. No, I can't. Nothing says sexy like a man in a cave. But that's it. Just a cape. And a smile. Shoot, look at you. Justin Timberlake thought he brought sexy back. So we have time for one more? One more? Yeah. I'll tell you what. Everyone just scream out the question.
Hey, over here. episode did Teal'c hook up with Carter?
I don't know if someone just had an orgasm or a bottle. Teal'c tore that up. One of the list. And for you kids, when I say Teal'c tore that up, my last, I think kind of everyone knows that maybe may have been the prankster of the group. The absolute last prank that I ever pulled was that episode. Poor Amanda is doing Beau's death scene. So Beau dies, and Amanda comes out, Carter comes out, where Teal'c meets her in the hall. That's what you guys saw. So what happened was, they shoot Beau's scene, and then they have to set up for Carter coming into the hall to meet Teal'c. Well, I'd gone to wardrobe, and I wanted to do one kind of final prank. So wardrobe made me this thong. They had SG1. So poor Amanda, she has to be crying when she walks out into the hall to meet Teal'c. And so we do a couple rehearsals. Wardrobe had actually made me tear away pants. So we're getting ready to roll. She goes back behind the door. I rip these pants off. And the entire crew starts laughing because no one knew. So the director and the DOP were actually behind a wall looking at the monitors, but the cameras weren't on me. So Amanda walks out, and I'm standing there. So it's an over of me. So all they can see on the monitors is Amanda come out and go. So then the camera pans down my back to my bare buttocks. And now everyone in Video Village sees what Amanda, well, the reverse view of what Amanda was looking at. Let me tell you, the shrieks of horror. So that was the actual last, to answer your question, Teal'c tore that up.
Mr. Judge.